meeting's gonna go for it. It doesn't look like a super long agenda.
I'm gonna cancel this.
Do we have feedback?
I know you have
I
expectations.
got.
Oh, no.
Councilmember Jorstad, can you hear us?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up? All right.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thumbs up.
You're live.
All right, great. Let's go ahead and get started then. This is gonna be, it's January 25th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And this is gonna be a city council meeting of Lake Stevens City Council. And this meeting is in a hybrid form, meaning we are here live at the Mill Building in downtown Lake Stevens. And there is also the option of joining us online as well. This proceeding will be is being captured live and will be put as a recording on our YouTube channel later on. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask everyone to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get a roll call, Kelly.
Councilmember Ewing,
Present.
Councilmember Daughtry,
Here.
Councilmember Peter Shagan,
Present.
Councilmember Frederick,
Here.
Councilmember Dickinson. Here. Councilmember Jorstad,
Present.
Councilmember Tajik.
Here. Make sure you guys have speakers enabled on your computers. Cancel the speakers. Okay. Okay, so we have everybody here. Council President, could we get an approval of the agenda?
Yes, any changes or adjustments to the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Council President, before you make, I just wanted to make one change for the record that there will be action after the executive session. So that was a change we made to the agenda today. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I do have a question. That there was some an approval that we're needing for based on yesterday's meeting. Is that
Yeah, I'm seeing an email by Russ. I'm not sure what the action is though.
Council, if I may, earlier this week, we had a discussion between several cities and our lobbyist related to the transportation package. And they will be drafting a letter of support for local projects to our legislators. And so it would be an action to have the mayor or council president sign a letter in support of local transportation projects to our state legislators.
okay? So with those two items, we amend our first and second there that we had.
Maybe next time, if there's adjustments from the city staff, maybe we could have that up front before we make the motion versus after. But I will
Sure.
amend my motion to include the two topics.
All in favor?
Aye.
Councilmember Jorstad.
Aye.
All right, Mary, you've got an agenda.
Okay, great, perfect. With that, I'd like to take just a moment of I'd like to make a little announcement here, just so that we put this up front before citizens comments. So I assume we're going to get some citizens comments on this subject. I had a great opportunity today to meet with Director Thompson of the Snow Isle Library System. And we had the opportunity to sit down and talk about the events of last week. And we came to a great compromise, a great solution. And so what I'd like to do is just go ahead and read the press release that we just recently put out. And so everyone understands where we're at with Snow Isle. So today, the city of Lake Stevens and Snow Isle Libraries agreed to move forward with formal planning for a new Lake Stevens Public Library. Conversations have taken place that provide both parties with confidence that the partnership will continue and a new Lake Stevens Library will be funded by Snow Isle Libraries. The city's goal all along has been to find a way to provide Lake Stevens residents with a new larger library. We appreciate Snow Isle's leadership on this important community issue. And Lois says, we are moving forward with the longstanding community goal of a new public library in Lake Stevens, constructed and operated by Snow Isle Libraries. Our library staff work hard to provide services that are valuable and meaningful to our communities. I appreciate Mayor Gailey's response and support for this plan to make a new larger library a reality for the community. Next phase will be for Snow Isle Libraries to move into the formal capital planning phase with the community to help plan the library they want. The library district plans to move forward in 2022 with site preparations on the property owned by the district in the Chapel Hill neighborhood. So that's a great win for our city. Snow Isle is looking at funding this with their existing revenues and their operating funds. And I think it's just a real good win for our community that we can get moving forward on this.
Excellent. So, thank you, Mayor.
So with that, let's move forward to citizens' comments. And we will go ahead and open the floor for citizens' comments. And how we do citizens' comments is we look for a raised hand, or if there's anybody in the audience who would like to provide citizens' comments, please make yourself known and we will acknowledge you. And if you're here, you can use the podium, or if you're online, just raise your hand and we'll bring you into the panel to do your comments. Is there anybody in the audience with comments? Seeing none. Is there anybody online?
Sue Fernald, let me bring her
Sue
in.
Fernald. Yeah, let's bring Sue in. Is she in?
Yeah, Sue, if you can hear us, if you can unmute yourself, you're in the meeting.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We've got you, Sue. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'd like to make a request for the agenda. If we could have a pending or to be continued item each time. I have been watching for the marijuana tax to come back on, and I have not seen it. I could have missed it. But if we could, after each meeting, put on the next agenda what is to be continued or is in pending status, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just 1 second. I am not seeing any other hands raised.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more. Let me bring Melissa Knack in.
Who is it?
Melissa Knack.
Okay, great. Melissa, can you unmute? Are you there?
Let me ask her to unmute.
Sorry about that, guys. It asked if I wanted to join us.
Melissa, go ahead.
So I just want to thank the city for taking the time to do what needed to be done with the library. We all know we need a bigger library. We need a library soon. And I don't want you guys to go on without knowing that I thank you, and many, many community members thank you for your partnership with Snow Isle and for doing what's best for our community to get the library we deserve. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Melissa.
Have a good night.
You too. Anyone else?
I am not seeing anybody else, Mayor.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to council business. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Jorstad.
Thank you, President Ewing. Appreciate it. I think I just want to use my few minutes to express my frustration, I suppose, at this last week, learning information, I think, as a council member that I would have hoped to have learned through city staff versus learning on social media and in the media. I'm a member of other boards where I feel like we get kind of a heads up, either in an email or some sort of information about, hey, this is going to be in the press, or this thing is happening and it might get some public attention. It's awkward when I have constituents contacting me about something that I feel like I probably should know something about, or I should be able to speak to, and I don't. So I just hope that we can, as a group, kind of figure out, maybe at a retreat, talk about a better way to ensure that council members are notified and educated about topics that are going to be brought up by the public. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Council Member Dickinson.
Okay, while volunteering at the food bank last Thursday,
Councilmember Dickinson, can you talk more into your microphone? Thank you.
I'm trying.
Maybe
Hang on.
slide it
Let
over
me
to you.
get
Thank you.
closer. How's
Thank you.
that?
Yep.
Grandma. Okay. While volunteering at the food bank last Thursday, I learned that our very own Safeway was giving out $50 gift certificates to the folks who came through that day. I stopped to thank the store director, Mr. Rob Jones, for their kindness, and of course, the kindness of the customers at Safeway who donated the money. As nearly 40 cars were in line to help. The need in our community is obviously great. Their next effort, this is Safeway now, will be on behalf of the elementary students in need of free breakfasts and free lunches. So thank you, Safeway, and thank you, citizens of Lake Stevens. After mentioning the need for tech help at the senior center at our last regular meeting, I stopped to speak with library manager Antoinette Morales Tanner. She felt they could help out. I thought, wow, that's great. She reached out to the senior center to get a clearer idea of what it was they needed. Snow Isle remains committed to developing this partnership and providing outreach services to the visitors at the Lake Stevens Senior Center. Of course, all would be free for the senior center, and I think this is the kind of thing that we get from Snow Isle that isn't always recognized. The library has put together a team with the programming and technical experience to provide outreach services. I was so thrilled to watch that connection happen. So yay, being a council member has its good side. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Frederick.
Thank you, President Ewing. I have nothing to report this week.
Councilmember Peter Shiggins.
Yes, thank you, Council President Ewing. I would echo Councilmember Jorstad's comments strongly. There's nothing more frustrating than when you hear about things from your constituents and you don't have an idea what's going on, especially in light of the discussion concerning the library and the Civic Center. None of that has been discussed in detail, nor has it been approved by this council. So I hope in the future that we can have a little more dialogue and direct discussion between us folks and get that information before we move forward with it. With that, did have a meeting today, Utility Committee. Just a reminder, there is an open seat on the Sewer District Board of Commissioners. And so they're looking for applicants right now. Other than that, we did talk about a couple of items regarding their compliance issues with nutrients and such. Looks like a little reprieve on that. And of course, the old treatment plant facility is still part of the discussion there. So we're working together. I think we're making some progress as far as cooperation and such, and things are looking brighter in that regard. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Daughtry.
Thank you, Council President. Today I went to the Snohomish County Committee for Improved Transportation, where we had an hour-long discussion with Senator Marco Elias, who is the transportation chair on the Senate side of the state, talking quite a bit about having a small transportation package coming forward through the legislature this session. They're looking at it a little different than they usually look at it. It's more driven by buckets of money instead of by packages and projects. So it's going to be quite different. The other thing that I thought was interesting is there's no way that they're going to try to raise the gas tax this time. And they just said there is no appetite for that at all, especially when things are changing drastically. And one of the things that's changing drastically is talking about going to the road mile usage fee or tax, or however you want to call it. They're still struggling with how they're going to accomplish that. The biggest struggle on that is we have bonds out on the gas tax that have to be paid. And if they tried to do the road usage fee along with the gas tax, we'd be paying double. And they're trying to figure out how to get around that. In other words, what they really need to do is get rid of this gas tax at the same time they're bringing the road usage fee in, and they haven't figured out how to do that yet, or if they're even going to try. So that happened. Friday morning, I went to the Rotary Club morning meeting with the Youth Advisory Council. They did an orientation, or they did a presentation to the Rotary Club. It went really, really well. I felt like a proud papa. They were very professional in their presentation. Rotary was on board with everything they wanted to do. How could we help? And it was pretty impressive. And what else? We went to, last Thursday, we had the Community Transit Board Development meeting. So everybody, all the cities have to go to. It'd be good to know that of the 3 board members from medium cities, nothing changed. It's myself, Jill Marine, Mayor of Mukilteo, and Jen Schweddy, council member in Arlington. So we all retained our seats. We do have one new alternate, which is the Mayor of Bothell. And we retained one other alternate, which is Mayor of Kyoko Matsumoto Wright from Mount Lake Terrace. So everything is basically the same.
Thank you. Councilmember Paget.
Yes, just would like to say, really excited to hear that announcement about snow islands and partnering with the city of Lake Stevens. That's a real win for our community, and hopefully we'll get a library system that is more appropriate for the size of our city. So I'm really excited about their commitment and our commitment as a city council and community to move that forward. I did attend with Gary today, the utility subcommittee, and I would mention one other thing is I think this Thursday they're going to go over a rate study.
Yeah, that's beginning the review process.
Beginning the review process for a rate study. So people should be aware that they are looking at rate studies and may have to raise rates coming forward, but that's a study, and hopefully we don't have a rate increase and we can keep more dollars in our pocket. But good collaboration between us and the sewer district, like Council Peter Sagan said. Thank you.
So I attended a library board meeting last Thursday. Appreciate all the comments that were shared there and the participation. And following council member Peter Shagan's example, going down to the library meeting, our new library manager, went down there this past week and met with Antoinette, and appreciate her positive attitude and her enthusiasm. And like Councilmember Tadgett mentioned, the news that we received today about the things going forward with the library, so that's encouraging. And I also want to thank our council for your responsiveness. Each member has been responsive to communication regarding different issues. I appreciate that, the responsiveness. So it's helpful for me in trying to do what I'm trying to do. So thank you for that. Mayor.
All right, great. I don't have too much. I just want to let the council know that we're continuing our efforts on the APW accreditation. We've a big part of that is figuring out the asset management, asset maintenance, and new permitting software enterprise system. And that we've had several replies on that RFP so far, and staff is going through those, scoring them to figure out who we're going to go with on that. And that is all I have. Chief's new city department. Okay. Great. So with that, can I get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I do have a couple of questions about the vouchers. I'm wondering if I could just get some quick clarification and then we can move through and pass. Is that okay?
Sure.
I'm sorry, is Barb with us this evening?
She is not, but I can.
I do not see her on with us tonight now.
Okay, well, maybe There are a couple of specific questions, but maybe there's someone else here that could just help clarify. On our packet, page 8, at the bottom of the page, in the first voucher packet, there are 6 lines that say liability program assessments to the Washington City's Insurance Authority. And the total amount is $710,000. And it lists 6 different insurances, and then there are like initials before each insurance. Are those programs or people? And what are those? What is that paying for?
I can answer that question. Councilmember Jorstad, that's WCA is our insurance pool, and they handle all of our liability and risk coverage. And that's our annual premium for all of our insurance pool coverage.
That is super helpful. Thank you. One other question about one of the line items right above that on page 7, in about the middle of the page, there is a $13,000 charge for state court fees to the Office of the State Treasurer. I was curious to know what that was in regards to. If anyone knows.
Don't we have an interlocal with?
I'm guessing it's for the public defender through the ILA we have in Marysville, but I'll double check on that.
Okay, I've seen that line item before, and this seemed different because it's the Office of the State. So I would love just some clarification if you get the chance, Jean. Thank you. And then my only other comment was at the top of the second voucher packet. So we have the kind of the cover page that is the summary. And then on the next page, it says on the header says checks to be approved for period 12/31 to 12/31. I'm assuming that's an error, but I wanted to double check if these payments all came out of the 2021 budget. And that's on page 13 of our packet, sorry.
I will double check that, council member. I do know that we pay bills that are outstanding in 2001 going into 2022, if that makes sense. So there's hangover bills from last year that we still pay this month, but I will double check this because it does look like the dates are incorrect.
Okay, I would, it looks like, I mean, just looking at some of the charges, it looks like they're things that occurred in 2022. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding kind of what's coming out of what bucket. So thank you. I appreciate clarification.
Any other discussion on the motion? Good. Okay. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes for the consent agenda. Let's move into action item A, which is the Snohomish Conservation District ILA.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, council and mayor. Thanks for having me tonight. Tonight, I wanted to present to you the interlocal agreement with the Snohomish Conservation District. The city's partnered with the Snohomish Conservation District over the last 5 years, and the last interlocal agreement expired at the end of 2021. Tonight, I'm proposing that the city renew the interlocal agreement to continue work with the Conservation District over the next 5 years. The city's worked with the Conservation District to carry out, develop, and execute programs, technical assistance, and projects really focused around the city's NPDES Phase 2 municipal permit to fulfill the education and outreach and public participation requirements as outlined in that permit. The scope of services that I've included in the packet tonight outlines the services that the Conservation District will carry out for 2022. These services are programs that have already been established here in the city and that we plan to continue. This is all for compliance with our NPDES permit and consistency with past programs so that we can identify areas of education and outreach that have worked for us and ways where we can improve it. And like I said, this really goes into our NPDES requirements. I do want to highlight, though, that the way that the interlocal agreement is written, we really do have the flexibility as a city to review these services that the Conservation District has provided us on an annual basis and even during the year. So next year, when we evaluate this component of our NPDES permit, we really do have the flexibility in this agreement to utilize the services from the Conservation District as much or as little as we need, depending on the city's need, staff capacity to carry out these projects just throughout the city by itself, our budget requirements. And so it is nice that we have that flexibility. I know that that was one of the topics of conversation. So with that, I'll just open it up and see if anyone has any specific questions that I could address.
Shannon, I don't have any specific questions, but I do appreciate you bringing this forward. As you and I discussed today, what was lacking from last month's presentation was the appendix and the actual scope of proposed work. So I appreciate you putting that together. And so everyone knows what we're paying the Conservation District for. It'd be interesting to find out, I guess, in the populace at large as to what the Conservation District does for our county. And they have about a $2 million budget. So everybody in the county pays into this little system, and we get to pay them another extra $24,000 to help us with their NPDES permit. I would hope in the future that with the investments we've made in our storm drainage facilities and staffing and so forth, as we increase that level of sophistication and expertise, that we take on this activity. There's only about $4,300 that's in technical assistance that we receive from the Conservation District. So it seems like a very small amount of, maybe they have great resources, but it seems like a very small amount of resources that we're purchasing in order to help us comply with our NPDES permit. So again, as we gain sophistication and knowledge and things of that sort, capabilities in our storm drainage public works staff, I would hope that we kind of grasp this and take it on ourselves instead of paying this extra $24,000. It's not a lot of money, but it's $24,000 that we could utilize in some other avenues. So again, I appreciate you kind of diving into this a little bit more, Shannon, and appreciate your work on this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Good.
I wish I'd thought about this before, but I would just say that the Conservation District supports Shannon in every way, and I think it would be great to keep them on board. I've been very impressed with them when I would visit them, and I think they have our best interest at heart. The $24,000 is a lot of money, but I feel like we get our money's worth. Plus, it helps support our staff, and I think we're pretty hammered right now. Things are pretty challenging, shall we say. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion on this?
Make a motion to approve the or renew the interlocal agreement with Snohomish Conservation District with the proviso that it be reanalyzed at the end of the year, every year of our agreement, to make sure that there is value there. But I would move for approval of that renewed interlocal agreement.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to renew the interlocal agreement with the Snohomish County or Snohomish Conservation District. Is there any discussion on the motion?
There was a proviso added onto that. How do we have that in any kind of a tickler that ensures that we do that?
Did we capture that, Kelly?
Yeah, I do believe it was part of his motion, so. Yes.
And then what we can do is,
But if I may, Mr. Mayor, the appendix is a one-year scope of proposed work. And so as I understand it, the city staff and the conservation negotiate that proposed scope of work every year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
There's your kicker.
okay, so that's the trigger.
All right, as long as there's a trigger.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shannon, for your work.
Thank you.
And we have an added action item of the transportation project with Russ.
Okay, thank you, council. I appreciate you letting me bring this on tonight. It was kind of a last minute thing that came up yesterday morning. As I mentioned, Doug Levy, our lobbyist, had reached out to the city of Lake Stevens, the city of Everett, Snohomish County, and working with WashDOT on the transportation package. As Councilmember Daughtry mentioned, the legislature, the Senate and the House, they are actually getting fairly close to the transportation package. And with that, they are going to be looking at it, funding it a little bit differently this year. And it's possible that there will be monies left over for some local projects that we didn't think we would be able to get refunded, specifically a couple of multimodal paths we'd had on the project list, 20th Street intersection, 16th Trail, South Lake Stevens Trail. And so what we're asking for is a letter of support and authorizing the mayor to sign that. And this would put an emphasis on both the large projects as they move forward, such as the US 2 trestle, which the legislature is contemplating putting a fairly sizable sum towards that project and allowing us to start building that out in phases and start some environmental work, and then our local projects. So the request would be, as this letter is put together later this week and then going out to our legislators to help them inform the transportation package, that we can get the mayor signature or the council president's signature in support of local projects and the US 2 trestle fix.
Okay. Thoughts on being able to support a letter like that?
I definitely think we should support it. So I'm in favor of supporting it.
Okay.
Just a clarification, is this just a letter from Lake Stevens or is this a letter from?
This would be a letter from all three jurisdictions, looking at Snohomish County projects and our specific projects, and obviously our common project of the trestle.
Three jurisdictions being who?
Lake Stevens, the city of Everett, and Snohomish County.
All right. Is there going to be some sort of collaborative effort to try to involve our neighbors to the north, as well as maybe the Port of Everett and our neighbors to the south and east, for some sort of letter of support?
Sure, we can certainly extend that. Like I say, this just came up very quickly and letters being drafted. I know that Snohomish County has been in touch with Marysville on their project, and definitely the more inclusive we can get would be a good thing.
I would encourage that we do that outreach to those agencies and try to get as many signatories to this letter as possible. It's an uphill battle this year, so.
Absolutely. Okay, do we need a motion or?
I'd also reach out to Skid.
You know.
Yeah, get Skid's signature, which is basically come from the AFC, but still it's Skid's signature on there.
Okay.
Andy Thompson.
I suppose a motion to allow me to sign a letter like that when all the signatories get together on it.
I'll make a motion that we cooperate and sign a letter of our support of the transportation package.
Second.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
And any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Russ. So with that, we're gonna move into executive session. We've got two subjects that we're bringing up on this, and that's the first is discussion of potential litigation, and a second is performance of a public employee. And there will be action to follow after discussion of potential litigation. What do we need? How much time do we need? We need for the,
Yeah, so two items that I know of are about 20 minutes.
okay,
And then Steve, I don't know about the additional.
It totally depends. I'd say 20 minutes.
we want to just go with half an hour for now and
Yep.
extend if we need to. Okay, we'll go for half an hour and there will be action to follow.
So for city council, you're going to stay in this room and the rest of us that are not part of the executive session will be leaving the room. Anya will be firing up her laptop with the Teams link. For those of you on the meeting right now, Russ, Greg, Angie, you're going to join the Teams meeting. You all do not need to do that. You're going to be in this room and be joined through Anya's laptop. So we're going to try it this way and see how this goes tonight.
All right.
So let's Yeah. So for our attendees that are waiting for the executive session to be over, I do want to let you know that council has asked for an additional 15 minutes. So we're going to extend the executive session until 7:21. If they need another extension, I will come back on and let you know. Thank you.
Okay.
So remember, the attendees wanted to give you another update. It's 7:22 and the council has requested an additional 15 minutes for their executive session. So if I need to extend again, I'll be back on in 15 minutes. Otherwise, they should reconvene back to regular session. Thank you. You ready? So the council is back in session at 7:34.
Okay, so we are back in session, and with that, I will hand the time over to Council President Ewing.
Thank you. We have action to take here. I move to approve the proposed severance agreement between the city of Lake Stevens and Eric Rapeau, reviewed in executive session, and authorize the city administrator to sign on behalf of the city.
Second.
What was that? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were online, Angie. I just.
Sorry, I was just seconding.
Okay, perfect. So I have a motion and a second. And is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very much. Appreciate everyone's work.